Hey everyone. In today's video, I sit down with Cesar, a client I've worked with on and off since March. Cesar is very ambitious, and like a lot of men, he wants to succeed at his career, dating, and athletics, as he's very into powerlifting. I was very excited when Cesar messaged me and told me that he considers himself over insomnia for good, and I agree. I think he's come a very long way reestablishing a healthy relationship with sleep and wakefulness, and as a result, he's getting more and more good quality sleep consistently. I wanted to have Caesar on the show as he has a lot of good insights that I think could be beneficial to anyone who is still afflicted with insomnia, and his story is a great reminder that insomnia, while uncomfortable, is a temporary condition. So without further ado, here's my talk with Cesar. Cesar, good to have you on the program. Welcome to Insomnia to Peace. It's great to have you here.
Great to be here, John.
This was a day that I was looking forward to. I know that we were just talking about how I was excited to have you on, and be at the point where you can comfortably say that your insomnia is managed. And you had a really good point where you said, I don't feel, it's not that you feel like you will never have a night of bad sleep again, but it seems like you finally that you understand how to manage it going forward. Could you speak to that a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think just focusing on your night's quality, the amount of hours you get and stuff like that. That's still looking at it from a problem perspective. You had
Mhm.
this reel. I think it was a spot on. Like every night you used to be, or people who have insomnia view it as you're auditioning for sleep, right? In a way.
Mhm.
I know, I know. I mean, well, we've talked about this before. I like to go to the gym, and again, gym performance can be tied to how you rest.
Mhm.
So, of course, for me, it was very important whenever I have I don't know, a big training day to be well recovered. So the prior nights when I had the insomnia, before my history, I'd be like, it's very important for me, especially if I'm waking up early, to sleep well tonight.
Mhm.
Wolf, and that's where the audition started, so to speak. So
Yeah.
now I know that even though I desire to have the best possible sleep, all this pressure, all these prerequisites, they're gone.
Mhm.
And whatever happens, happens. And
Yeah.
that's for me, that's what has been key to, again, more acceptance. This is a very big word in this space. And I think it takes some time to really understand it. Not that I mentioned, oh, I really understand it. But
Mhm.
again, I know I can't do anything. So whatever comes, comes. Focusing on whatever I can do on my end, in the sense that, uh, am I tired enough? It doesn't really matter. Well, you get what I'm saying, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And what's really powerful about that outlook is not only is it way easier psychologically, but you've, I mean, you could speak to this way more than I have. Your sleep, it's also that greatly increases the chance that sleep is going to happen to you anyway. So you get the best of both worlds by learning to put all the that pressure and the expectations that we set on ourselves, like I need to get sleep, I need to get sleep, or else. By putting all that stuff off to the side, you get not only uh, the easier outlook towards it, but also you get what you actually genuinely want, which is the sleep that you've been looking for anyway.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But again, I think part of the problem was wanting sleep, you know?
Hmm.
But again, in the sense that someone who doesn't have insomnia just doesn't bother. When I say doesn't bother, is he expects to sleep, in the sense that just as you are hungry, well, I'll be hungry throughout the day, just something's going to happen. So again, it's not that I want to sleep, it's just that I know that I had a problem that was uh, let's say, self-imposed. And now
Hmm.
that it's done, I'm like, yeah, this is normal life, in the sense I just put myself in the middle, between me and a body function that was there all along. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
and also, sorry, yeah, yeah, and that's it, pretty much.
How did maybe we could go back to the beginning. How did exactly did insomnia start for you?
Both job stress, and then I had a bad, yeah, I had a few bad nights, no
Hmm.
problem. And I think it was just like yours. I just figure, okay, today, after I had chained many sleepless nights, just general stress. I was working for a big four company in audit, and For whatever reason, I started obsessing about, okay, I need to figure this out. I've been sleeping very bad. It's superlative for me that I start sleeping well for my job, for this, for that, and it was even a weekend. I think for you it was the same. And
Hmm.
and for once in my life, I view it as tonight I have to sleep well, as a sort of this is something that needs to happen, and I need to do it. And man, from there it was, I went down the rabbit hole, and little by little it was getting better. Little by little it was getting worse. It was not going away. I started to panic. That made it worse. And then at
Hmm.
some point, I just knew that, for example, if I had to get up early, I knew I was going to have insomnia.
Yeah.
And if I had a big day ahead of me, I knew I was going to have insomnia. And,
Hmm.
and yeah, the only times I knew I was going to sleep well was knowing that the next day I didn't have to wake up. I didn't have an alarm clock, so to speak.
Hmm.
Then I inadvertently I would not put any effort, and then I would sleep well.
Yeah.
But again, you get a job, you get responsibilities, and well, what you have to get up. So again, my insomnia was being fueled left and right.
Yeah. Classic story. Happens to countless people, and you're right. That was the same situation for me. I don't know if yours started uh, right when you started your job, but mine was literally the night that I started my career. Um, and yeah, same sort of situation where we both put high expectations on ourselves. We wanted to crush it. We wanted to do a good job and impress everyone. And we told ourselves that that was only going to happen if I got great sleep consistently. And really did not, at the time, we thought we were doing ourselves a favor by approaching like this work, work, work sort of aspect to sleep. And we ended up just shooting ourselves in the foot by accident. And then we started going down the rabbit hole. And I'm curious, what did the going down the rabbit hole look like for you?
I don't know, more than any well, stress, of course, but for me it was more well, what's the word in English when you're not hopeful? Hopelessness? How do you say it?
Hopeless.
Yeah, I was very hopeless on many things. And again, every time, everyone I were, this black cloud was following me. And that, I- I'm not going to cuss, John. I don't want to disrupt your video in this sense. But that really disturbed my quality of life. Being
Yeah.
with friends and this black cloud was there. And I could not fully be in the moment or enjoy. At the gym, same thing. Why do I have to worry how well I'm going to recover when I'm just doing something that I really like? And I don't know, even with girls,
Hmm.
it was like, am I don't know, next day I have a date, am I gonna look that I'm rested,
Hmm.
or just with them, in the sense that are they seeing that I'm very tired because I'm not sleeping well?
Hmm.
And for me, that's just a big decrease on my quality of life, aside from the stress, the heart palpitations, all that stuff. For me, it was the fact that I was not really living. I was trying to solve something that again cannot really be solved.
Yeah, and that's the thing about insomnia is not only does it ruin your nights, but it ruins your daytime experience as well. And you feel like well, it's not. You feel like not only can I not do well at my job, but I can't do well socially. Like to your point, that was going on dates. That was a big concern of mine. Like if I go on this date and I haven't slept in at 3 to 4 days or whatever, she's going to think I'm this idiot who, and the fears that I probably don't look as well, and all the concern. I mean, dating is hard enough as it is. Then you just add on the pressures of insomnia and all that stuff, and it can feel like it's this really surmountable problem, uh,
Hmm.
and it just robs the. It starts to rob the joy, even when you're just hanging out with your friends, and it's like this is what I'm supposed to be doing for fun, and even this can feel taxing. So yeah, I'd say that talking to somebody who has been through insomnia feels sort of like talking to like how I imagine Vietnam veterans talking to each other.
No, it's not got this far, but
Yeah, but it's just like this it's a unique set of problems that only a hand that only a handful of people have gone through, you know?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
What you also mentioned going to the gym that felt I remember from our sessions that concerns about going to the gym and weightlifting were big concerns for you as well. Could you speak to that a little bit?
For sure. I mean, look. Let's just give some context. Even though when I start, for example, before you, I went first of all I discovered Daniel Erickson, the sleep coach, cool,
Mm-hmm.
and it was great. Breath of fresh air. Finally, I started to understand what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But again, even as time went by and I had been enrolled in the program, I had also another coach. I did not really understand this, or at least it didn't. Their whole thing did not really click with me because it was not very actionable. That's a first.
It was not very what? Sorry.
They would not give me things that could be actionable.
Right.
I'll explain further, but it was
Sure.
more about you need to, big words, acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, mainly acceptance. That's the big one. Giving up control. That, and I would understand it, but I could not see how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's just one thing, just for context. And now with the gym that happened for me was a primary concern because I like it a lot. I like to go. And again, it didn't matter what. I mean, it didn't matter. I don't know if it's because I've always ingested so much content about how important recovery is that in here in my mind, that was like an unchallenged truth. So when Daniel or somebody from the sleep coach school would come and say, "Look, even if you don't sleep that much, it's fine. You're still gonna make progress," and I
Mm-hmm.
would be always like, "No, this is not possible. This and that." And with you, for example, I started to see that it is true. I mean, someone who's recovered is going to do better long term. But that by itself is just keep looking at the problem. What you need to do is manage your relationship with sleep, and also figure out and look and challenge your beliefs in the sense that again, yes, if you don't sleep, you might not make as much progress as if you did, but still you're making it. What counts is the fact that you're still going.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just comparing yourself on what would happen if you slept better and the gains you would get if you were sleeping, but that's not what's happening. I mean, that's just a derivative of the problem. Just forget about it. Keep going to the gym. Don't view this as something that again, oh, still need to fix in order to, you know, experience and enjoy the gym as I used to do. No, keep that all to the side. It's much more simple. Just keep going to the gym. Whatever comes, comes. Be happy, and just know that again, going to the gym will always be better than
Mm-hmm.
stopping going. All right, and most importantly, you're still gonna make progress. Okay, you might not get the best pumps in the world, or you might think you're not benching or pushing as hard as you used to.
Mm-hmm.
That's also questionable because again, you're not really, if you will, that very well rested. Of course, you'll be doing better in the gym, but how much? Is
Mm-hmm.
it worth all this trouble you're putting and inflicting in yourself about ruminating and look, I don't want to cuss, but just reviving this all the time I've lost thinking about this that wasn't just worth it
Mm-hmm.
to finally see it for what it is. So I went on a big spill. Maybe I didn't really address the question, but yeah, that's how it went for me.
No, no, there you touched on a couple of great topics, and I remember during our talks when you frequently brought up that concern of I'm not doing as well as I'd like to. I mean, you're a driven guy. You want to make sure that you're performing at your absolute peak performance. Very understandable for a lot of men in our position, and we have this thing that's totally outside of our control. But in hindsight, do you see how much there's so many there's so many things that are outside of our control? Maybe so. For example, you got a cold for a few days and you couldn't work out. That's going to, technically speaking, that's going to take you away from the elite level. Or worrying about this is I remember this line that came up during our sessions was genetics. I mean, sure, could your genetics be in theory, your genetics could be better, but it's not something that's totally outside of our control. There's a good chance that you didn't lose sleep about wishing that, man, I wish that my genetics were absolutely tip top perfect so I could crush my recovery and crush my deadlift or whatever. there's just like, it's like, okay, sure, like I'm sure that there's a number of things that could take away from the absolute peak performance, but at the same time, it's like there's nothing stopping you from, to your point, showing up consistently, putting in the work, maybe studying. I don't know how applicable that is to weightlifting, but for other athletic endeavors, that certainly is the case. It's you could watch or study old matches or whatever, or listen to some of the top performers in your field and how they approach this. There's always stuff that you can do, even if you don't feel like you can push yourself as hard as you possibly can. And again, what's really important to remember is that insomnia if you approach it the right way, is a temporary condition. It's not something you're gonna have to deal with forever. We just have to relearn how we put ourselves how we put ourselves there, or how rather to revert back to our relationship with sleep beforehand. And your sleep is miles better than, correct me if I'm wrong, but your sleep is miles better than what it was.
It is. But again, that's just again, it's just been a derivative. Correcting your relationship with sleep, I think that's where true progress lies. Because now I'm not losing time on how am I sleeping? What do I need to do? And again, all the frustration, the stress that came along with it, that drained my life. And so now, I mean, I don't know. This week I've been getting. I mean, it's not about the hours, but for whoever's out there who's like, okay, but let me see the hours. How is it really this today? I used to sleep for 5, 6. Now I would average without problem 7 to 10. Depends on my alarm clock and when I have to wake up. But I don't go to bed with this F pressure. I don't care. It's fine. Even if I get 6, I'll sleep well. I'll perform, and I'll start living my life. So yes, my things are way better. But I would not say it's sleep what I really wanted. It's more the fact that I'm free again, free from my own mind in this regard, and that's what's made the biggest impact. I made this trip now. I was telling you in Malaysia, and I had a speed, and at some point it just hit me, and because I was discussing it with my family. My family was the first one to bring out, look, okay, just going back to your point. First of all, even if you have this thing, let's say it's forever. Still, you have so many other things. We're here. How many people okay, it was my family who paid for it, but you got this in itself is also great. Why do you have to focus so much on the other thing? And also, just as you say, first of all, this comes in cycles also. Can you control it? No. Then it's up to you just to give it more attention. They would be like, Wolf, I'm on the verge of cussing because I'm...
it's okay. Just let it come out. I can edit it.
They would be like, you're fucking here. Enjoy. Okay, you have this problem. So what? Can you do something about it? No. Then what good? And this you've told me, and for me was quite revealing. Are you going to solve it more by thinking about it more? No. Then live, my man. Live. Just have fun. Go back to your life. And then you will see again the old struggles. But again, insomnia is not going to be... Well, yeah. Does it make clear? We can go over it again.
It does, yeah. No, very well said, and I can tell how much that really resonated with you, because it sounded like you had like some big. It sounded like you had a big insight, especially on that recent trip to Malaysia, where something kind of clicked for you, and just like, oh yeah, this thing is totally outside of my control. I don't have to keep. There's no point in putting all this additional pressure and worry on it. And now, are we going to feel comfortable after a night of bad sleep if it comes up, whatever? Sure, whatever, but that doesn't have to be the end all be all requirement for having a good and successful life. And by having that much healthier, much more sustainable outlook on sleep anyway, that's when sleep comes back into our lives, when we stop chasing it. Sleep comes to us, we don't come to it. And it sounds like you finally put into term, you finally realize those, as you say, those big words like acceptance or letting go. And for guys like us, I feel like that's as true as it is. it kind of sets off a little bit of a red flag for us because, I mean, if the word acceptance is in every single $5 self-help book that you can pick up at the airport, so it kind of becomes like this trite thing, and it's like, oh, man, like I've tried to accept so many other parts of my life, and I kind of was able to do it, but kind of not. So, am I really just going to have it? Does that mean that I will have to come to terms with sleeping 2 hours a night, 2 hours of sleep every single night for the rest of my life? And that's something that I really tried to make that those concepts as practical as possible. I try to break them down. And when I tried to do that to you, did anything stick out, or did anything particularly resonate with you or land with you? How did that come across to you?
Mostly everything, man. And I'm not doing this because I owe you something. It's the truth.
Yeah.
When I heard acceptance, I'm not going to say woo woo because there's truth to it, of course.
Yeah.
But I needed someone to show me how to accept. Okay, what is this acceptance about? In terms of actions that I can do, I was still thinking about how can I solve this? How can I implement this acceptance thing? And you did that for me. So acceptance is challenge your beliefs, for example. And again, how do you challenge your belief? Well, what's really the problem here? It's a fear problem. How we address it like this, and then even if you're not getting the results you want now, you will get them. Be patient. That's also acceptance. But for me, is acceptance knowing that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in order to beat this thing. It's not just acceptance. Let's go. and that, for example, and I felt it was the approach from some other. They would vehicle it. Can you say that word? Like from
Vivo?
they would be the coaches. I believe coaches in this space are very good with words, and so they will vehicle very well this message of acceptance. But again, sometimes it would lack something that you could really give your client, so to speak, that she could do. Does that make sense? And
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
and you did this for me. You gave me things that this is what you can do. This A, B, C. This is challenging the fear. This is challenging the beliefs that increase or feed the fear. Keep doing this. And then again, it was just reassurance. Yes, you're going to have speed bumps, but speed bump is just, again, your brain trying to help you when it's not. It's fine. Keep doing what you're doing. You don't need to look at them. You don't need to, again, question them or question your approach. Is a question about time. Are you doing the right things? Yes. Then eventually it will come. And again, that is when acceptance makes sense. That even if you're doing the right things and the results you want are not coming along, chill, my dude. It will happen. It's happened to thousands before. It's going to happen to you too. That for me, that's where I understood acceptance in itself well. And when it became not just a concept, something that I can do.
Yeah, the reassurance is a huge part of it. I feel like, I mean, I am an insomnia coach, but sometimes I think of myself as I'm just like a professional reassurance giver. But it is comforting to know that that we have countless examples of people who have gone through, me, you, other, hundreds of other people who have gone through the same exact struggle and overcame it the same way. And there's so much, I want to say it's healthy skepticism that's somehow backfiring, because you have these people who are struggling with insomnia, like me, or somebody like me or you, before we came across the sleep coach school and this concept of acceptance. We might have been wary by anything else that was guaranteed supposed to fix our sleep, because we went down the rabbit hole. We tried doing the sleep hygiene. We tried turning our cell phones off 2 hours before bed. We tried doing melatonin, magnesium,
Coffee,
and every single possible thing. And this was according to all of the experts, all of the professional
out there. Yeah.
And none of that stuff worked for us. And it really, we didn't know that we were accidentally making the problem worse. It just created the illusion that Oh, my situation must be particularly exceptionally terrible. I'm doing everything. I mean, every moment of my waking life is dedicated to getting sleep, and I still can't sleep. And it
Yeah,
becomes scary. That's when panic starts to set in.
yeah, yeah, for sure, man. And all that time for what? But that's another. That's
Yeah.
another. But yeah,
And it's the most backwards thing. It's so unintuitive because, I've said this before, but if you want to get good at anything, then the answer is to put more time and effort into that thing. Whatever the skill is, that's universally true for every single thing except sleep.
yeah, yeah. That was another reel. That one's also great, man. Yeah,
Hmm. It's the most unintuitive. I mean, now it makes sense for us. It's like, yeah, duh, of course. But and that's why it's also particularly common for that's why I cater specifically to individuals who are particularly ambitious, because this seems to be something that we seem to fixate on it very well. And I I have a feeling, I'm not sure if this is true or not. I'd love to get your thoughts on this, but we know how important sleep is. I mean, like, there's no hiding from when you're going through insomnia. It feels like we have like this magnet attraction for all these studies that say you have to get sleep or else, you have to get sleep or else, you have to get sleep or else. And so we make guys like us, we put this huge pressure on ourselves. Oh, better make this the number one priority in my life because it is the biggest problem in our lives. And it's so like that knowledge of how important sleep is kind of really didn't do us any favors. Yeah, I'd like to get your take on that.
no, absolutely. I mean, I'm watching bodybuilding videos.
Hmm.
Here and then, somebody's gonna say sleep is very important, and that gets hardwired. And the only thing that's missing in my life is fucking sleep.
Yeah.
So I, I would be like going. I would love to ask the guy in the pit, how are you sleeping, man? What the fuck you doing? Because there's something wrong with me. Or for example, I want to optimize my diet, and for whatever reason, a Brian Johnson video comes along.
Hmm.
What does Brian Johnson say? That sleep is the paramount thing in life. How you sleep impacts almost everything, the ramifications. And where am I failing in my life? Sleep. How is that going to make me feel?
Yeah.
So yeah, sleep will always pop up in any thread where I would try to, let's say, improve my life.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's just another it's just another painful reminder that, and when we're going through the struggles of insomnia, just like, hey, here you go, here you go, here you go. And it's this nonstop, ceaseless, annoying, nagging thought that you have in the back of your head, just like, don't forget, hey, did you forget about me yet? Did you have one moment of peace and calm and tranquility? Well, here I am, still here. And it's so exhausting, and it's so draining. But that's a big reason why I wanted to. It becomes much easier knowing that it is a manageable condition, and that's why I really wanted to stress with everyone that I work with. It's like, no, this is treatable. We can genuinely get over this. It's not something that we have to. Acceptance doesn't look like coming to peace that you're only going to get 2 to 3 hours of night of sleep, if that, for the rest of your life. So better make peace with that. That's not what acceptance is. It's coming to terms with the fact that we have a broken relationship with sleep. We don't have to worry about it so much, and we can unlearn the harmful relationship that we've developed with sleep and wakefulness, and we
spot
can go
on.
back. Yeah.
Exactly. For me, I would always hear about meditation acceptance, and I would be always like, but how does that look like? Someone who is accepting well, meditating well, how does that look like? What have they been doing in order to get there?
Hmm.
And that's where I would always be missing. Then I
Yeah.
found you, things started to get better.
Mm. Did you have a? It's easy for people to develop the impression that that in order to get sleep to happen, that in order to get the sleep that they want, they almost have to become like hippies in a sense. Like they have to become the spiritual guru and adopt, like, you just brought up meditation. I can't, I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about this, but I mean, I haven't adopted any spiritual practices or anything like that. It's not like I meditate every day to get sleep, or it's not like I have a mantra, or I have to make sure that my chakras are aligned to make sure that sleep happens or whatever. It's sleep doesn't become. It's weird that we're borrowing this concept that comes up so often in so many spiritual circles that I'm sure has a lot of truth to it. But I'm no more of a godly man now. It's not like it's not like you have to become a priest or a Buddha in order to get back to the sleep that you want. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, no offense to anybody on this. I'm not going to say again.
Yeah, sure.
Just because first of all, I'm saying this because my main language is not English. So if anybody is fair that I'm going against, no, it doesn't have nothing to do. But again, for me, sometimes it would be like that. Like there was this spiritual component, that it was a bit woo woo, and I did not understand it. And then it was not because I'm not, or I'm not because I am not Christian or whatever, or that I don't go. No, it's just I could not get my hands on it. I think I'm someone who's more pragmatic. So when I started with you really disclosed, or you gave me this frame of mind to think about. Look, sleep is always going to happen, just like you are hungry. It's always going to happen. The only time it doesn't happen is when you get in between. So let's work at you not getting in between. How does that work? A, B, C, D. For a long time, they're going to be spin bumps. Yeah, I'm telling you, you're doing the right things. It's just a question of times and reassurance. And now I've forgotten again what was the question again. No, I'm not more spiritual now, nor I need to be in order for me to sleep. Sleep is always going to happen at night. But acceptance is, well, if it's not happening, what can you do about it? Nothing. So be chill with that. Don't panic. And yes, at the beginning, it's hard because you're like, how the hell am I not going to panic?
Yeah.
But little by little, you start learning. And with each speed bump, you learn more. And eventually one day you're like, just what we've been talking all along. It's fine. And because you understand that it's fine, but when someone says it's fine, man, when that you internalize it really, it starts to happen.
Yeah. One of the cool things about recovery and getting to a point where like you're starting to get it, and also not so surprisingly, more sleep is happening to you, and you're in a more settled place. It's cool to see that how irrelevant all those nagging, persistent, doubtful thoughts that come up are. Like, so for example, I maybe like a month or month and a half ago, for everyone listening, I had insomnia for 7 years, and I've been in recovery for about a year and a half now. Maybe a month ago, I had a speed bump of 2 or 3 days, and I had all those same old nagging familiar thoughts pop up that, I'm sure that same ones that you went through. And it was so reassuring for me to know that I didn't have to do anything about them. That to me was a very practical thing that I try to teach my clients, such as yourself or anyone else that I'm working with. It's like those thoughts are going to be there. You don't have to you don't have to invest time into correcting each and every single thought. Okay, here's an uncomfortable thought about sleep, whatever it might be. Oh, this is it. This is the speed bump that you're never going to recover from, yada yada, or whatever. It's like, oh, I don't even have to spend the time and energy into correcting that, into trying to make it feel good, because that's a very common belief that people with insomnia have, is that,
okay, in order for sleep to happen, I must feel totally relaxed throughout the day. And if I don't feel relaxed throughout the day, that means I will not sleep tonight. And I am not relaxed right now because I have this persistent nagging thought. So I must correct this thought. I must feel, my gut has to feel totally peaceful and tranquil. And it's like, you really, I get why you think that, but you really don't have to think it. So it's such a relief to know that you don't have to manage these never-ending piles of anxiety and concern and doubt that your mind is generating. It's just going to do that. It's fine. And also, hey, I don't have this responsibility anymore. I get this massive responsibility they gave to myself. I'm putting it off to the side. I don't have that anymore.
Completely agree, John. You're absolutely spot on. Yes.
Yeah. I'm curious, what was the other, you mentioned that there's some other practical things that we went over. You labeled them A, B, C, D. What were some of those other A, B, C, Ds that were particularly helpful for you? Because chances are they'll be helpful for other people.
Mm-hmm. Well, for example, that one with managing thoughts. Like before I thought I had to manage them, like I had to be in some emotional state or I had to develop some emotional tools. I know this sounds it sounds weird, sounds abstract,
Mm-hmm.
and something that just an actionable here,
Mm-hmm.
just what you said, don't do anything about them. I know it doesn't feel good to be afraid or frustrated, or who wants to be, let's say this happened to me a lot. I would be in the sauna at night.
Mm-hmm.
And after the sauna, I get a shower, go back home, eat, sleep. And I would be in the sauna, and for many days, I would not have a thought. So I would be like, oh, I'm beating this thing. Nice, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then, boom, I'm there alone, and then one of these thoughts pops up, and I'm like, holy shit. Does this mean that I'm not cured? What do I need to do to get this thing out of my head right now? Because otherwise, I'm not going to be sleeping well.
Mm-hmm.
So again, what was one of these things? The A here. Well, it popped out. Can you do something about it? No, because you cannot control what your mind is sending you each moment.
Mm-hmm.
So don't do anything. Does it feel well? It doesn't really matter. Whatever happens, however you feel, just go with it. Accept it. You don't need to do anything. Because again, even if you're feeling like this right now, you'll sleep eventually. Not eventually doesn't mean in 1 week. Even sleeping like this right now, in 2 hours when you go to bed, you can fall asleep. Just don't give it importance.
Mm-hmm.
How you cannot give it importance? That would be a B. Boom, boom, boom. These kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. How about if you were in the middle of a difficult night? And, I know that the go-to answer for that is something we call befriending wakefulness. And, I've got other videos for anyone listening, I've got a video on just that topic. But what did befriending wakefulness look like to you? How did you make those sort of difficult nights when sleep wasn't coming to you? How did you make the most of those experiences?
Just doing what I wanted to do. Again, look, for something that I think was it's counterintuitive, is that you need to befriend wakefulness, but you really don't want to befriend it. You want to sleep. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, that was something that I, again, didn't really get a hold. It's not like, for example, let's say I had a difficult night and this thing, Cesar, you have to befriend wakefulness, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, I know, I don't want to do dog shit. I just want to lay here with my eyes closed and be chill, whatever that is. I don't need to do anything in order. So for me, it would be that, just knowing that I don't need to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if I choose to do something, it's also fine. It's just knowing that, again, even if I'm having a bad time, whatever I choose to do is fine. Again, I don't control sleep. So if I choose to go, say, watch a series just to get my mind off things, is fine. But if I stay there on my bed, it's also fine. The only thing I don't need to, the only thing I don't need to do is think I need to do something in order to get sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So befriending wakefulness for me would be just more, okay, you're awake. It's not really a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It would be more understanding that concept this way. Befriending wakefulness, understanding that it's not a problem, really, if I'm asleep. So that would be for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So something that we can, a way to make that an aspect of befriending wakefulness a very understandable and tangible issue that people often bring up. I know you had this as well. Is we start to get the sense that the desire and craving to get sleep is really unhelpful. Is going to be detrimental. And so when we're having the occasional difficult night that pops up, and we hear something along the lines of, "Oh man, I can read a book, I can watch TV, or I can do whatever it is that makes wakefulness enjoyable." So we get the sense that
The desire.
subconscious thought that, like, man, I really hope that sleep happens tonight, and oh man, I have that desire, so sleep is not going to come tonight. It's like, I think practically speaking, everyone in the back of their head wants sleep to happen. It's the most understandable thing in the world. That too is fine if it's there. We can allow ourselves to feel to be human. It's just more so if it's not like the most overwhelming, dominant emotion to have. Does that make sense?
Of course, yeah. But again, I feel that desire is more present in someone who, of course, I mean, this is going to sound redundant and obvious, but you want to sleep because, well, how would I put this? It's because we're having this problem to begin with.
Mhm.
Now that I'm a bit out of this and that I've really abstracted myself from it, I think Daniel Erickson has a video about the struggle. Like, here is the struggle. You're here. The moment you get out of it, you really see it for what it is. I know that this is a bit woo-woo, but today, of course, I want to sleep.
Mhm.
But it's not that I want. Is I know my body's wired to sleep. It's something that's going to happen tonight at some point because as far as I know, I'm a human being, so eventually I'll have to sleep. This constant desire, I think it's something we also develop as of course, I don't want to say insomniacs, but someone who's been struggling with this.
Mhm.
So again, it's just seeing it for what it is. Then of course you want to sleep, but you're wired to sleep. So if you're not getting it, is because sadly you still have much to unlearn. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. And to speak on a point that you just had, with it's like, do I want to get sleep? Yes, of course. Everyone wants good sleep, but not everyone has the craving for it. That, like, ceaseless, never ending, I need this to happen. Everyone also wants to be able to eat on a given day. No one wants to starve. No one wants to go broke. Everyone wants somebody to date or whatever. But chances are, it's like, yeah, of course, we all have these wants or needs, but it's not like they become this hyper fixated thing that starts to contaminate every single aspect of our lives. That's when it becomes unhelpful. And that's not going to be that's no matter what the desires towards, whether it's sleep or finances or even health. As soon as it becomes like that ceaseless craving, it's probably not the healthiest or most sustainable way to look at it. It's just for sleep, it's more obvious at how unhelpful it is, because that just happens to be the one thing that suffers the most, the more that you really crave it and fight for it.
Exactly. I can imagine someone who's having this problem right now might I think this is a tough nut to crack, this concept right here, because they're in a I need sleep, and of course how in the hell I'm not going to crave it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would, even though it's not the perfect comparison, I like to be it with being hungry. You really, like, once that you start to solve this, it's like, again, it's like being hungry. Do I want to be hungry? Well, what kind of question is that? I know I'm going to be hungry.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. When with the sleep, it's just the exact same thing.
Yeah.
The only problem is I really fixated myself over it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I just realized it's kind of like, imagine if you knew that you had a trip coming up 3 months from now, and you were worried about being hungry at some point during the travels. What were you months from now. Like, it's like, what are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and to say it and to say it now, and also looking back on our struggles in hindsight. But that's more or less exactly what people with insomnia are. That's the sort of outlook that they've developed.
Exactly. And that's why I don't know if someone would watch this. I hope they do for you, John. But if they, it might not make sense now, but as you go on, you start to see how much it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And for someone, for example, going back to the fact that it's a temporal condition, let's say someone who started a job at one of these, let's say, strategic consultancies, a McKinsey, or, well, let's just say they're starting a job at a place that, it's a lot of hours, a lot of intensity, and of course, maybe your sleep gets disrupted.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they might not know it, or they might know it, but if there's, no, erase that. What I'm trying to say is, surely, for example, I've seen this with some friends. When they started working, they only averaged between 4 and 5. Even they had some sleepless nights because of the adrenaline of the new ecosystem they were in.
Sure.
But they were like, what can I do about it? If I don't sleep, why? Do I know? Do I care? Well, most likely because of what am I going through now. But
Yeah.
I don't have to. They would naturally not, difference to us, obsess over it. They'll be like, I have to suck it up. Do I like it? Of course not. Would I like to sleep just like we would want? Yes. But they will never think about it. I need to do something in order for this to happen.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not really explaining myself well here, because if I would be watching this video, I'll be selecting answers.
No, I think you are. I think I understand everything that you're saying perfectly well.
Okay, but but not of the language barrier, just in hindsight. Hindsight.
Hindsight. Yeah.
There you go, man. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that you explained that. If I had insomnia, I would understand that perfectly well.
Okay.
Well, another thing I wanted to touch on is that you mentioned that you had seen at least 2 other insomnia coaches before, and it can be very demoralizing for somebody going through insomnia. It's another point of confluence for them that they might think, oh, I'm the exceptionally broken case because I went to specifically an insomnia coach. In fact, I went to 2 different insomnia coaches and I still didn't get the recovery that I wanted. And I really believe that insomnia coaching is not a one-size-fits-all sort of thing. Sometimes you have to find the right person who articulates it in a way that would land with you. So I don't want, and for me personally, I saw an insomnia coach before I recovered for good. And everything that they said, it's not like they had a totally different approach. They didn't say, oh, well, you have to double up your melatonin. No. They more or less had the same exact approach that we're familiar with. It just, for whatever reason, everything that they said was correct and in hindsight, but it didn't land for me for whatever reason. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Well, I never really got discouraged in that sense, thinking, oh my God, I went with this coach, and I think he's like the staple, the golden boy of sleep coaching, and holy shit, it's not working now. I was really optimistic in this sense. I knew that if it was not clicking with me, it's just because I didn't have the guy that really was giving it to me the way it would help. And in this sense, I mean, maybe because I went before to therapy, it's just a question of iteration. Because after all, every coach wants you to get better, no doubt. But if you click more with Joe, and in this case with John, instead of with, let's say, Maria, then you click more with John, but instead of Maria.
Yeah.
But again, keep looking for an answer. In this sense, I think it's more about who you are as a person. Of course, I never thought that my insomnia was particularly a lost case. Very weird. Maybe at the very beginning, because I was like, man, my insomnia is really fueled by how I perceive my appearance, the progress I get in the gym, the fact that I have these ambitions, and they're not going to come to fruition if I'm not well rested. And look, somebody just made a program just for that. Well, and who's breaking down the insomnia and things that you can digest and do, and we're on our way. So I think it's more, yeah, it's more on who you are, and if you're looking, sorry, and if you're not willing to give up.
Yeah, well, very well said. I'm curious if there's for anyone else that's listening, are there any other topics or insights or anything else that was particularly helpful for you when you were going through insomnia that we haven't touched on just yet that you think might be valuable sharing?
Well, I've heard this one many times, that you're going to be all right, and yes, you're going to be all right. Nobody dies. Nobody dies. So chill. And I would really recommend to get a coach. I was very, what's this? I was very cheap at the beginning with my insomnia. I was like, okay, I don't really have this big condition. With the sleep coach school videos, I'm gonna be fine. That for me is enough. I don't need to go through it, buy a program, because that in a way means I have this problem. I don't want to repeat. And I'd be like, no, man, get a coach. You don't want this to snowball. You don't want to lose the time. I mean, you're not really losing. I will say that, yes, acceptance now, it's something I have. Well, no, it's not that you have it, but it could be something that I can see myself. The Cesar today is more prepared, more resilient than the one from 4 years ago. That's in that way, it's great. But again, there was a lot of meaningless pain and suffering that could have been avoided. I just needed someone to guide me and give me the right frame. So if you're having this problem, I mean, that also, well, I'm someone who wanted a guide. If you don't want it, because you know yourself and because you're watching these videos and really you're not lying to yourself, you know it's enough, then do as you please.
Well, Cesar, it's great to have you on the program. I'm so glad to hear that you're doing much better. It sounds like you're in a much better place now than when we first met. I think we met in March, like a few months ago.
So. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. You've made a ton of progress internally, and it sounds like you're back to having a much healthier and more sustainable outlook on sleep, and you're getting back to living the life that you want. And I'm very happy for you.
Thanks a lot, John. You really helped me out. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well, thanks for everyone for tuning in and listening to us and Cesar talk about insomnia. And I hope this was helpful for anyone else who might be going through similar struggles. If Cesar and I could do it, then you certainly could do it too. I don't know how to end these things, but I'm still learning my skills as the I don't know, podcast host or the interviewer or whatever. It's a totally different set of skills, but that's what I got. So.
Well, I would include this too in the video. It's very genuine. Instead of, if you want more help, visit my link.
Oh, you're so right. Yeah, I kind of can't help but cringe every time I do the like, comment, subscribe. So blah, blah, blah. But